the continuing story of Peyton Place. Starring Dorothy Malone as Constance Mackenzie, Ed Nelson as Michael Rossi, Mia Farrow as Allison Mackenzie, Ryan O'Neill as Rodney Harrington, Barbara Parkins as Betty Anderson, Tim O'Connor as Elliot Carson, Christopher Connolly as Norman Harrington.
Ever since childhood, Lee Weber has led his brother Chris to believe that Ann Colby, as she was then known, had pushed him off Sailor's Bluff, causing his blindness. But now Lee speeds away from a violent attack on Chris. An attack triggered by Chris's revelation that he now knows that it was Lee himself who had pushed him. Sandy Weber, knowing that Lee's guilt has become seething rage, is afraid that Lee's lashing out at his blind brother is only the beginning of an explosion that might shatter the uneasy calm of Peyton Place.
Chris, are you all right?
Sandy, where was Lee headed? Which direction did he take off in?
Straight into a stone wall, for all I care.
You care?
Yeah, but I wish I didn't.
I gotta get to Ann Colby before she leaves for work.
Now, you're not going anywhere. You've been up all night and you need some sleep.
Sandy, you know the mood Lee was in. He could do anything.
Well, then let him ride it off or find some guy and pick a fight.
I've got to warn Ann. If I don't and anything happens to her...
Nothing's gonna happen to her.
I can't take that chance. I've got to warn her.
Come on. I'm not gonna let you go. Come on. Sit down. Do you think Lee's gonna try something in broad daylight? Sit down and rest for a minute. Come on. Chris.
There's one thing I'm glad of,
Only one?
aside from the fact that you're perfect in every other way.
Thank you. Even with my swelled head?
Aside from all that, you're a doctor. Doctors are early risers.
Particularly when they've been awake all night.
I think it's something every couple should discuss before marriage.
What, sleeping habits?
Whether or not they're early risers. You see, I'm morning people myself.
Morning
I suppose you're a slug-a-bed who likes to laze around under the covers and...
Well, I have a terrible confession to make. I am a slug-a-bed who likes to lay under the covers until noon.
Oh, your patients will never allow that.
Well, I'm not intending to take my patients with me on my honeymoon.
Well, I suppose we can let you sleep late that once, and maybe once a year after that. Say on our anniversary.
You are very kind.
Uh-uh.
What?
Sentimental. Come in. There it is. My father's trunk, but without a key.
Well, where is it?
It's vanished. Nothing mysterious about it. It's just got misplaced, perhaps before my father's death. Can you open it?
Well, I think so, if you don't mind me damaging the lock or anything. You've heard of Jimmy Valentine? I suppose I'll have to Jimmy it open or something.
It's fine if you can.
That sounds like a lot of confidence. Have you got a screwdriver?
Yeah. You're going to be very handy to have around.
Oh, sure.
Instant burglary while you wait.
I didn't tell you about my checkered past. Oh, thank you.
I'm so glad to be rid of my own goblins. A few days ago, I'd have been afraid to open this. Scared of what I'd find. All the worst I can expect is nostalgia. He used to wear this when he went ice skating. It isn't much to show for 60 years of living, but it's all he had to leave.
That's not all. Well, I'm afraid I have to go.
Oh, it can't be that late.
Yes, it is. Weren't you the one that approved of doctors having early appointments?
Did I say that?
Yes, I'm afraid you did. You called me for lunch.
Listen, I'll call you before if I find anything interesting in here. Like a map to a lost gold mine or the Koh-Nor diamond or some such trifle. No, he was a very good father, Mike, his own way. And a fascinating man. You'd have liked him.
I know I would.
Goodbye, love.
Right.
Your work shows promise, but it showed that when you enrolled here 4 years ago. What it does not show, Mr. Court, is the progress that comes. Mr. Court? Court?
Who is it?
Is Miss Howard in?
No, she's... Come in, please. Oh,
I'm Chris Weber. I was looking for Miss Howard.
I'm Mrs. Hewitt.
We've met before, haven't we?
Years ago when you were a little boy.
Yes, I remember.
I'm just hanging a picture for Miss Howard. I promised her something colorful when she moved in, and number 4 down the hall is leaving.
Did
so
she go to the hospital?
Well, I'm sure she did.
Did you see her leave?
Well, not exactly. I was in the kitchen, but I heard her rushing down the stairs.
Rushing?
Well, moving quickly.
Were there any calls for her? Did you have to call her to the phone or anything before she left?
No. Look, Christopher, excuse me, but I'm used to calling you Christopher.
I'm sorry I asked too many questions.
Miss Howard is a very fine person.
I know that.
Now, I'm not a nosy kind of a landlady, but I take an interest in the people I like, and I like Miss Howard.
Mrs. Hewitt, I didn't come here to hurt her in any way.
And she didn't mean to hurt you. I know that.
Yes, I know. Does she ever come here for lunch?
Yeah, once in a while. Look, if I were you, I'd call her at the hospital.
Yeah, I'll do that.
I'll show you to the telephone.
No, that's all right.
No, it's no trouble.
I think I'll just skip it for now.
It's all right. If you don't have a dime, I have change.
I'd rather talk to her face to face.
Well, it's up to you.
Yes, it is. One thing, Mrs. Hewitt. Don't bother to call her and tell her I'm coming there. If I go to the hospital, if I go, I'll be friendly little Christopher from Collins Street. You remember me, don't you? I wouldn't even step on a crack.
Well, one coming, one going. Aren't you even going to say good morning?
Good morning.
It's not very cheerful.
All right, cheerfully. Good morning.
Hey, what is it, Betty?
You're going to be late for work.
We both are.
And I'm not moving till you tell me what's up.
Stephen asked me for a divorce. Oh, Rod, I can't talk.
Listen, it's not going to do you or Stephen any good to cry out of this house.
I told you I don't want to talk.
Betty, I only remember seeing you cry once. It was in the hospital after the accident. It must have been after you knew you'd lost the baby. I guess that's what I always respected about you. You weren't like other girls. You didn't need tears, even if you had the right. Betty, I know you've had a rotten time of it. And I didn't help you much, not when you lived here. But maybe it wasn't our fault. But we did mess things up, didn't we? Well, we've grown up a bit since then. But you can't afford to blow it again, not a second time.
Maybe it's a punishment. I didn't love Stephen when I married him.
Yes, but you love him now, don't you? Otherwise, you wouldn't care whether he gets hurt or not. And you do care. You let them intimidate you and use you. Just like my father did. Oh, if he had only left us alone. Maybe we could have made it.
Maybe.
Betty, I don't want to hear you say maybe after Stephen's divorced you. After you've racked up your second strikeout.
But it's too late. I can't stop him now.
You know, I remember sitting in there one afternoon and watching you walk down these stairs. You were wearing a white bridal gown, and you had a smile. And your chin was high. And I thought to myself, now, that takes courage. And nobody's going to stop her this time. Because she has earned it. She deserves it.
No, Rod, she planned it. She cheated just like before. I told myself I'll learn to love him. But now I've got to prove it. I've got to prove that I love him, even if he leaves me. Because it's the only thing that I've ever done that wasn't for me. It's the first time that I've ever loved anyone enough.